Welcome, everyone. It's been a while since we've been together doing the weekly WeAwake meditation. So it's great to be back. Great to see you guys. I was on quite a spiritual retreat and journey, and probably more will seep out about that as this thing develops that we're doing. So we're listening to Schumann Holophonic, which is the resonance of the earth. And this is a very powerful track for me personally. And it's a half hour, 30 minutes. And the carrying sound of the frequency is a thunderstorm. So thunderstorms are pretty amazing. I was out with my dog in this area called the Aquarian Plateau, fittingly enough. And it's a massive storm and rain, but we're out in this huge plain. So the rainstorm was just right next to us, and the lightning was hitting the mountains, and it was just so thrilling. I felt very close to God. And in the forest around here, after a thunderstorm in the rain, you go in, all the mushrooms start coming up. It's a very generative thing. Somebody told me the scientific explanation is that the atmosphere, it separates the nitrogen for the atmosphere, and it gets in the soil, and it causes everything to grow. I just think it's the magic of water and lightning and woods and nature and God and wind, all of that together that does it. But let's hope this is good for us. And this is the practice that we do together is one of the things we can do. Recently on one of the podcasts that we did, James Finley, it hasn't come out yet, but really beautiful guy. And a friend of mine said he oozes God. That's the kind of guy he is. You feel kind of his connection and his deep connection with spirit comes through when he speaks. And he says, when you meditate every day, it's making a rendezvous with God. Okay. And God should be, God, the mystics say God is love, right? So think of it that way, not as a chore, but as a rendezvous with something that you deeply love and deeply loves you. And as we practice, we become more aware of that deep love that runs through everything. And even the very fact that there is something rather than nothing is a manifestation of that love. And how do we know that? Well, because that's what we learn. That's what the great mystics and teachers have told us, and that's what we learn in our practice. So anyway, let's just go on to this and just be there, be aware with the sound, and let it take you where it's will, and just come back to your body and come back to your heart and sit as straight as you can. And your breath, equal in, equal out, focus heart, body. And this is a half hour again, and it's a very sacred track for me. So I pray it will be for all of us together. And there is a field that is created when we meditate together. And it's a good thing, for not just for us, but it seems to be a good thing for others also. So let's do this with as well as we can, and expect spirit to do the rest. Okay, let's roll this. Welcome back. Yeah, I was thinking of the, well, I see this picture here. This guy, this buffalo skulls attached to him. He's a sun dancer, and I've had friends who are sun dancers, and this reminded me of one of them. His name was Derwin White Lightning, and he helped me start a program one time dealing with addiction and alcoholism. He's very concerned because the native peoples have been really hit, crushed. I mean, lost so many in that disease. Yes, so white people, there's plenty of addiction in my family, my friends. But yeah, and Derwin had been hit by lightning several times. And one of the times he got hit by lightning was when he was sun dancing. So you're out there, and the sun dancers just, chosen people are out there, and everybody's there to support them, and they just keep dancing, no water, no food, and the drumming and everything until these things, their chests are pierced and it breaks loose, and it's a very sacred thing. And yeah, and then we have a friend, Charles Lawrence, who we've actually interviewed on or had a conversation with in the Deep Transformation podcast, and he's a brilliant guy. He's a psychologist, and he's got some Indian DNA, and I say Indian because that's what they call themselves. All my Indian friends never call themselves Native Americans. Never comes up. They say Indian, so I say that because that seems to be okay with them. And yeah, he'd been hit by lightning 3 different times, and that's considered pretty powerful medicine. And it turns out, Heidi was telling me that a friend who painted this picture, Nile, had been hit by lightning several times too. So the old thing, it never strikes, doesn't strike in the same place twice. Well, with some people, for whatever reason, lightning strikes them, and they survive. So, but what an experience! What a way to clear up your blocked sinuses or whatever's keeping you from experiencing the spirit directly. So yeah, I was thinking about that with the thunderstorm, and thinking about how grateful I was to Derwin and my friend and mentor Wallace Black Elk. And we just gone through this online vision quest process. It's the 3rd time we've done it, and it's always very powerful. And yeah, just feeling, and as I get older, I beginning to feel the presence, still feel the presence, or more strongly feel the presence of those who have passed, people that I've known and loved and died. But still, so I feel the presence. So I talk to them basically in my prayers, and ask for their help and support and guidance while I'm still in this realm with the body, and it feels very powerful and very comforting. And in the heart of God, this is stuff I've been my own journey. Nothing ever goes away. In love, it's there forever, because the dimension of the ground of being, God the Father or the Mother, it's not even in time. Okay, so everything is there. When the Big Bang, or whatever that mystery was, when our universe came into being, till whatever direction the spirit or Helios is taking us, it's already done, and everything is still there. And I've gotten that teaching years ago, when I was just thinking about the brevity of life and the tragedy, and everybody I knew and loved was going to die, and all of this. And, my animal friends, my pets is the right word, but my companions. Um, what the voice said, what the teaching said, there is no loss. There's no loss. And it was a moment of intense clarity. And I don't tend to understand what that means, but I can feel it. And makes me very grateful and very full of love and at peace. So it can't be bad, right? So yeah, Derwin, White Lightning, he's not there. I mean, he's not physical body, and Wallace is not either. But yeah, I still feel them, and I learned so much. I've told this story before, but Wallace, I was introduced to him. He needed some support for a talk he was giving, and I was there at the conference or at the Whole Life Expo. So I went there, and we just made this immediate, powerful connection. So I just became, whenever he would be on the West Coast, which was a lot, I would just pick him up at the airport and just be with him, and carry the luggage, and I don't know, just be the gopher, the doof, and just take care of him, just guard him, be there. And I was really busted up at the time, and I didn't feel like there was much I could do, but I could do that. So it was a real grace to have that, just okay, I can do this. And he just downloaded on me, his talks were one thing, it was public talk, but when the talks were over, that's when he would just start pouring all this stuff out. Just like, I can't believe he's telling me these things. And but I certainly learned a great appreciation for the native ways of the Plains Indian, right? The Lakota, Dakota, and it was very clear to me that they didn't need a guy in black robes to teach them about God. They got it pretty seriously. I mean, and even the one God, I mean, that was there, but everything else was sacred too. Everything else had its own spirit, and everything else was our relationship. And they had an incredible culture, and there was about a little over 100 years there where they had the horses they got from the Spanish, and that was before white people started encroaching and all that stuff happened. And there was just that moment of just renaissance and beauty. And yeah, I really learned. It was already there in my heart, but they brought forth this deep reverence for the natural world and all creatures. And that, the same autonomy as in all my relations. It's how they end their prayers, begin their prayers, greet one another. Whole autonomy, all my relations. And that if we live together in love and balance and harmony, that is the red path, they call it. So, and that's a really good path. And we don't have to, I don't know, we don't have to steal all the rituals or whatever, encroach upon them, or we just have to open our hearts and learn. And anyway, they were mystics. They're powerful men, and in that realm, like things would happen, miracles would happen. It's like you read the book of Acts in the New Testament or the Gospels, and all these miracles would happen. And around those folks, those things happen a lot too. There's just a bandwidth where magical things happen, things you can't account for, but it seems like they come right out of the spirit world, and visions and directions and teachings, and walking in harmony with the natural world. We have to account for that stuff. And this war going on in Ukraine. Everybody talk about all the animals that are getting blown to hell and killed. The birds, the squirrels, the dogs, the cats, horses, everybody. It's just a holocaust, and we're so. I mean, I understand that. Obviously, we care about people being guilty, but should be mentioned there too. These creatures that are just living their lives and walking in a good way. The way the Creator made from because of one man's desire for more power. So, yeah. And going back far enough, all of our ancestors, were connected to the earth, and that's how we survived. And I think in Christianity, we got off the track a bit. The earth and spirit, or the flesh and the spirit, flesh and sin, and we're divided, and I kind of understand it historically, because the Romans in the late empire, they got pretty perverse. Okay, and I think that when Christianity was forming, there was a lot of really perverse, ugly things around sexuality, and slaves were just used to satisfy your loves, and it's pretty awful. So, but when you go to Constantinople, the New Rome, which is Istanbul today, the old statues and everything that started around Constantine, they're all covered in robes and stuff like that. You don't find any of the Greco-Roman things, beautiful human bodies, and like Michelangelo's David and all that stuff that came right from the Greeks and then into Rome. There's no longer seeing that as sacred, as something that is sinful and has to be, covered and controlled. And then I think that got transferred into the way that we deal with the natural world. And that's not, it's not the mystics, it's not St. Francis, and it's not Meister Eckhart, for sure. He said every plant, every blade of grass, every tree, every bird, every bug is a word of God. And if we could really see that, you wouldn't even need the Bible. Just God is everywhere in all things. If we could see, if we could open our minds and hearts to see. And of course, his teachings were called heretical at the time. So they should have listened to him more. And perhaps the Reformation wouldn't need to have happened if they'd have listened more to these people that were coming out of that tradition and speak to us today. So, yeah, so that's all, do your part to rendezvous with spirit, with God on a daily basis. Fix that time and do it, 20 minutes, whatever. 20 minutes, a good starting time, where you just, be still. Be still and know that I am God. Right? That's from the scripture. I am that I am. And then spirit will do the rest. but show up, do what you can do. And these Indian ceremonies, whether it's a vision quest or it's a sun dance or it's a sweat lodge, it ain't easy. It's not bargain counter religion. The cheapest, easiest way. There's a real sense that you have to offer yourself in your own life as a gift to all your relations. And that's what you're here to do, and to walk the path that you're supposed to walk, and to walk it with honor and courage and beauty and holiness, I guess, and be brave and be giving. And remember, you're not the Great Spirit. You're part of it, but you're not. It doesn't all center around you. And and ask God to, I don't know, to create in us the vacuum, the hunger, right? The spirit. And Jesus said that blessed are they that hunger and thirst after God, for they shall be filled. And sometimes, we even have to ask for that help. And they say nature abhors a vacuum. God loves a vacuum. So, take the time, do it every day until it gets to the point where you couldn't imagine not doing it. What? You're not going to meet with your beloved every day because you got to make a grocery list, or I don't know what the hell, we do, but it's essential, and it will change you, and changes us, and thereby changing the world, the part that we're playing in it. And what we do creates energy and information that spreads out. And I won't get into all the science behind that, because that would be a whole other long time, and I've been talking way too long. So anyway, God bless you guys. We love you. Thank you for being here with us. And it's all going to be okay. I hope.